Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the shop. We're out here today and I have got a package to unpackage. And for some reason, when I saw this on eBay, I thought that it was larger than what it is. It is a lantern, and it is a, I don't know, it's made in China, and but I don't think it's new, really. I think it's still fairly old.
Did you get it from France? It says fragility on it.
No, I got it from Rochester, New Hampshire, but it traveled around. It may have made it through France. I'll show the list of all the places that this thing went, because it was supposed to be delivered in a few days and it took it a couple weeks to get here. But oh, come on. It left Rochester, New Hampshire. Tracking numbers provided on January 27th. And then shipping label created on the 27th. Shipping label created again on the 27th. USPS in possession of item on the 27th. Estimated delivery Saturday, January 31st. Also on the 27th, departed Rochester, New Hampshire. And also on the 27th, arrived USPS Regional Origin Facility, Nashua, New Hampshire. Also on the 27th, departed Regional Facility, Nashua, New Hampshire. So the 27th, stuff was happening. It was going places. 28th, departed Regional Facility, Nashua, New Hampshire. 28th, arrived at USPS Regional Facility, Middle Essex, Massachusetts. 29th, departed Middle Essex, Massachusetts. On the 30th and 31st, it said, in transit to next facility. And then on the 1st, it said, in transit to the next facility, arriving late. Also said that on the 2nd, in transit to next facility, arriving late. So at that point, I assume it was lost. Then no, I don't see the date on that one, but it arrived in Kansas City at 7:50 p.m., but I cut off the date when I screenshotted that one. But then February 4th, departed USPS Regional Facility, Kansas City, Missouri. On the 5th, departed US Regional Facility, Kansas City, Missouri. On the 5th also, arrived at Regional Facility, Kansas City, Missouri. Then on the 6th, it departed again. Then on the 6th, it passed through the facility. And then finally on the 7th, it said, in transit to next facility, arriving late. On the 8th, arrived at USPS Regional Facility, Des Moines, Iowa. Also on the 8th, it departed Des Moines, Iowa. On the 9th, it was in transit. And then also on the 9th, it arrived at a regional facility in Milan, Illinois. And then on the 9th, it said it arrived at the post office here in town. And then also on the 9th, delivered. So it definitely took the long way to get here. And I also took a screenshot of the ad because I was thinking that this was going to be a nice big, I thought it looked like it was going to be a large kerosene lantern. But I'll put in the screenshot of the ad here. It literally says, right in the description, 13 inches. So I don't know what led me to believe it would be any larger than 13 inches when it literally said it right in the description of the lantern. It's wrapped up. After all of that rigmarole getting it here, I thought that the chances of it getting here in one piece were going to be slim to none. But it did make it. And the glass is not broken or cracked or anything. And I can't say it's because it was a phenomenal job packing it. You can see where, I'll just grab the camera and bring it over here. That'd be easier. You can see where the top of the lantern was gouging into the top of the box because the box was not really tall enough for the lantern. And the bottom of the box, you can see where it was like bent out. So they crammed it into the box. It barely fit in there. No room.
Doesn't look destroyed though.
For any padding at the top or the bottom. So, and they wrapped it up and kind of shoved some pieces of foam in around it. So they didn't do a phenomenal job packing it, and somehow, even though it was in transit for 2 weeks getting here.
Must have been good enough.
Yeah, it made it through somehow. So here's what we got. And I knew, looking at it, that it was a made in China, and I knew that it was not going to be super old. I still don't know of the date of it, and when I did some research, I couldn't even really come up with for sure when they were being made. But this is a, now that's going to be hard to see on there. I'll get a picture with my camera and put it in there. This is a WANGGUANG kerosene lantern. As soon as I saw that it said WANGGUANG, it just made me think of the song Everybody Wang Chung Tonight from back in the 80s or 90s. Let me grab the camera and I'll get a couple of shots of this quick where you can see all the writing on here. It looks to be model 255. It does have some sort of a something on the cap there. Kind of looks like a McDonald's M with a circle below it. Got some Chinese writing right underneath of the wick riser knob there. And then on this side, WANGGUANG, use kerosene only. And it does have some more, this is made in China up there, and then some more Chinese writing. So I guess, all in all, it is about what I expected of probably a, I don't know, maybe, my needle nose pliers aren't in there. I wonder what I did with them. It is very much what I expected of a made in China lantern from probably the 70s or 80s maybe. It's nothing spectacular. The first thing that's really bugging me is this right here is hanging up, and
Squeeze shut.
well, I can bend that tab back around a little bit. It's a little bit up on the actual little ear coming off the lantern, and then the bail itself. There we go. Just that little bit already fixed that so that it doesn't hang up every time you turn it. It is, the lift is on the left hand side, which is odd, but it actually works pretty fair. Latches in place solidly, that's for sure. The lift little plate is just stuck into it, just goes into the side of that, and I would imagine that that was put in there before it was crimped together, and probably has little tabs that bend over, so it's pretty generic. There's nothing soldered on this lantern. Everything on it is crimp fittings, and nothing is spectacular quality. You can see where it's bent around there. It's definitely nothing to brag about. Oh, I see now. Those tabs for this little thing for holding the lift come all the way through, and they just bend over out here on the outside. So definitely knockoff quality, not anything to brag about, but also it still could be from the 70s. It could be pushing a 50-year-old lantern. They definitely, it seems like if you get something that said made in Hong Kong as opposed to made in China, you were getting a little better quality. The stuff made in Hong Kong was still doing a little better back when Hong Kong was still part of the British Empire. They were still trying to, ooh man, make something that was decent quality so that the name made in Hong Kong didn't, oh, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily mean that it was junk.
Somehow I knew that was going to be that. Now, when I was young, made in Japan was before made in Hong Kong, I think.
There we go. Let's see here. That does have a chain to hold it, and it has a rubber gasket down in there. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I would think that, well, I started to say I would think that would cause a problem with not being able to get fresh air into the fount, but I don't think anything on this is actually sealed very well at all, so I don't think that truly is going to be a problem. So let's just go ahead and pull it the rest of the way apart, just for the heck of it. Very lightweight glass, like feather light. It weighs nearly nothing, which is also a trademark of the newer made in China lanterns.
I'll see if I can't break it.
I said, don't do that. I probably can't get a replacement for it. I have to wait 9 months for one to come from China. The burner fits in there like a Dietz with the tabs, and you turn the burner to pop it out of there. It came loose very easily. Huh, interesting. Another rubber. What the heck? That doesn't make any sense, because that ought to get hot.
And I'm surprised that that stuff is still there.
Yeah. I don't think that the lantern's ever even been lit. Look at the wick that's in it. I'll bet you this has never had fuel in it, never been lit. But I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to stay that way for long, because I'm going to try it out. But the end of that, definitely that wick's never been burned, but there's no evidence at all anywhere on this lantern that it's been burned at all. You can definitely see the Chinese quality gaps around everything up in there. It's definitely just a very cheap knockoff lantern. But that being said, I'll bet it'll probably burn decent enough. I'm going to trim off the end of that wick just because I don't like the way, once it gets down right there, it doesn't want to feed up and down very well. Plus the end of it's pretty ratty, so we'll give that a trim, try to get it nice and straight across. Give it its best shot of working as well as can be expected for a knockoff made in China lantern. That is weird though, that it's got a gasket. The edge of that gasket's kind of bent up. I'm going to try to bend it back down, but a gasket between the burner and the fount. That doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever had that. It's probably to keep the kerosene from running out around it if you tip it over or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would imagine that it's going to have to be in there because yeah, that's going to fit loose as hell without it, so it's going to have to be in there. And unfortunately, it's in horrible shape, so
Shouldn't have looked at it.
being probably 50 years old and dried out old rubber. We'll stick that back in there. I don't know what keeps that from melting when it's being used. But all in all, the inside of the fountain looks spotlessly clean. My guess is it will function, but it's not going to be anything to brag about, that's for sure. Leo is looking for someone to throw the ball for him. A WANGGUANG lantern, to me, seems like something that would be for when everybody wants to have fun tonight. Which Dad won't understand. That's another line from the song Fun Tonight, which oddly enough, I thought the song was called like Wang Chung, but it's actually, the song's called Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and the band that did it is Wang Chung, so they just had to get their name into the title of the song apparently. And I'm pretty sure that's probably the only song that they made that anybody knows the name of. I could be wrong. I didn't Google it and read their list of songs, but well, this is really going to be a pain in the ass because that rubber gasket kind of is right in the way, and it makes it an even smaller hole to try to get in there to put the fuel. So you almost have to pull the rubber gasket up, set it on top of the cap like that. I think before I put it back together, I am going to squeeze the edges of this cap down a little bit more because it's just crimped around there, and that's what was slipping and making it so that I couldn't turn the cap. So I'm going to try to just crimp those down a little bit tighter on there in a few spots and see if that makes it at least so that the cap function. I guess before I put kerosene in it, it is quite dirty. I could at least spend 30 seconds giving it a little wipe down with some. Ooh, not going to get much out of that can. I should have done that while the glass is out of there. Now I got cleaner all over the glass again, but we'll just set that back up there and I'll give it a real quick wiping down. Honestly, it's not a bad looking little lantern.
Kind of cute, I think.
But it's just, it is absolutely what you expect of a 1980s or newer made in China lantern. Just lightweight, very poor quality. Nothing fits together super well and tight. Like, look at that, the top of that even spins on the chimney because it's just crimped over edges. Nothing fits tightly, nothing. But I will say, if it burns and doesn't just smoke and soot up the glass like crazy, I'll put it out on the bench in the backyard and let it burn all night tonight and see what it does. See if it melts that rubber gasket.
I'll bet the heat goes up there and that maybe.
Yeah, it should be drafting around that and pulling cool air in, but we'll find out. Will that funnel even fit in there? With that? Because you've got the, oh yeah, it fits. You got the chain coming out through there because they don't want you to lose that fine quality cap. Let's get this over the edge of the table so if I dribble down the side of the jug, it doesn't make a mess everywhere. I should have put a little denatured alcohol in there and checked that first, but I'm gonna just put a little tiny bit of fuel in there and then look around this crimp connection around the edge and see if I see anything showing any moisture there. I'm sure they really worry about making a super good connection at the WANGGUANG factory on that. Looks dry. I think we're going to be okay. I got on the Tubular Lantern Facebook group and researched WANGGUANG lanterns, and you're going to find this hard to believe, but there's not very many of them on there.
Oh.
There was one that somebody had that was brand new, still had like the plastic, it was wrapped in like plastic shrink wrap. And it said, let's say, top quality or something like that on the plastic wrap. So it must be pretty good if they're willing to say that. And now you can't see how much fuel I actually got in there. That's enough. That is enough. Now we'll have to give it about 5 minutes and let that massive wick in there soak up some fuel. I guess it's worth mentioning that that lamp back there, I think we're on our 5th video that we've filmed. And yep. I filled it up with fuel and put pressure in it when we did the first video, and I have not added any fuel or any pressure to it. It's still running off the, I think I put 25 psi in it, and it's still running off of that pressure. And the heck, can't think now, air pilot back behind me, that didn't even have very much kerosene in it when we started that video, and every time we just keep lighting them up and they go.
Yeah, they haven't been running all the time.
No, but they go for a couple hours while I'm out here recording and doing stuff, and then we shut it back off. Now this lantern, I said I was expecting it to be a little bit larger than it was, and then when I saw that box, I was concerned that we were going to be getting something like this when I saw the size of the box that it came in. I'm really not all that disappointed. That's still a decent size little lantern. I thought this was going to be like, is this a winged wheel or?
No.
The World Light. The winged wheel was a, because this is a made in Hong Kong, and that was also, winged wheel was a made in Hong Kong, but probably the same company actually. But yeah, I was afraid I was going to be getting something like this, getting the old internet bamboozle where they take a picture that makes it look a little bigger than it is, but obviously I can't bitch. Whoever it was said right in their description how tall it is, and since we're still killing time,
13 inches.
Waiting for it to soak up the wick, let's just look.
Well, that's an American tape measure, so it may not be the same.
He said 13 inches, and I'll say if you stand the little thing up, then you're getting about 13 3/4, but with it down, you're getting about 12 3/4, so pretty accurate. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
You did good. And it didn't get broken.
Yeah, I'm shocked. When I kept looking at the tracking and seeing all the different places and being for several days saying in transit, arriving late, but not even saying where it was, I thought for sure we'd get a lantern with a broken globe. All right, that wick looks damp, so let's see if this thing will light up and burn. Yeah, I don't think he brought the ball back. Deb's looking for the ball, but I think Leo left it laying somewhere. Or it's rolled underneath the toolbox, or... All right, let's see what happens here. Yeah, I'm not expecting a super wide flame because the wick's only
Yeah.
½ inch wide, if even that, but it's got a decent shape to the flame.
Yep.
And a pretty crisp flame. It's not real feathery at the edges. When you get
know their lanterns.
a very feathery looking flame, that's when you usually end up with soot. And like if you have a flame that's licking up at one corner, that's where you're going to get a lot of soot, and that's usually because you're getting not good airflow, either because it's not a very well designed lantern, so it's just not getting good airflow, or if you're working with an old lantern that you know should burn better than that, then you've got something plugging up one of your air tubes, or you've got a soldered connection where the air is drawn in that's not good, so you're drawing more air on one side than the other, or something like that is giving you problems. But yeah, all in all, for probably 1980s or so, made in China WANGGUANG kerosene lantern, that's not too shabby. So, like I said, if it burns and burns okay, we're going to give it a workout tonight. I will light this back up at home this evening on my little bench out in the backyard, and I'll let the old WANGGUANG have fun tonight. Okay, folks, let's not fall off the patio here. It's about 6:45, so the old WANGGUANG has been burning for about 3 hours out here now. And I've got to admit, this thing is doing good. I don't see any soot up around the top of the glass. Nice steady flame. For what it is, I am definitely impressed with this little lantern. It is a good little user lantern, and I know my GoPro never does a great job of showing how much light something like this is actually putting out, but you can see on the tabletop, but I can see the corner of my house lit up and everything over there. It's casting a really good beam of light out of it. Definitely better than I expected out of it, that is for sure. So thanks for watching, everybody. We really do appreciate each and every view. If you want to help support our channel, the best thing you can do at this point is just to let the ads play when they come up. I know they get annoying, and it seems like they're getting more and more of them, and they're getting longer and longer. But that's the best way you can help us out right now. The next best way you can help us out is just, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, leave a comment, share the video. All those things really do help out. So thanks again for watching, and come on back next week. We will definitely have a video of something here for you to watch.